basically the best, considerable, and quite ordinary. The Supreme Saint could not answer. Then Sriji Maharaj said, in objective or sabbatical, faith of quite ordinary type of the faith continues as long as God has passion, anger, avarice, love for tasty food, and ego equal to human beings. But if he crosses the limit, this faith would vanish. In the considerable type of objective, in the Savikalpa faith would continue even if God has doubled the passion, anger, avarice, love for tasty food, and ego than a human being. In the best type of objective or Savikal faith, the devotee would not doubt the behavior of God in human form. Even if he believes or behaves like a member of the low caste, drinks alcohol, consumes meat, practices adultery, becomes angry, practices violence, etc. Because so far as God is concerned, he is sure that God is the creator of all. He is Parmeshwar and the enjoyer of all. So whatever he does is concomitantly done through all being as the internal regulator of them. So even if God, in human form, behaves like a member of the low caste, he has no restriction because all the activities have emanated from him. Thus, he looks upon God as the ruler of all. So he should be known as God's devotee with the best objective, Savikal faith. Did anyone understand anything? Should I read it again? No? Why?
Because you gotta explain it.
It's not gonna make it understand again, huh? Alright, so let me see. I have a write up or another way of saying it, so let me see if I can read it from there and if that helps you understand it. So the characteristic of a person gets divided into three parts for Savikal. Lowest level of Savikal faith are as follows. As long as God exhibits lust, anger, avarice, egotism, craving for taste, etc., to some extent as other humans, a person's faith in God remains. But if God were to display this swabhavs more so than others, his faith would be shattered. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. For the intermediate level, faith remains firm even if God exhibits lust, anger, etc. to a double degree than that of humans.
Say this again.
So, someone at the intermediate level, the faith remains even if God exhibits lust, anger, etc. to the double degree than that of humans. Does that make sense?
So when does the faith not remain?
Say that again.
When does it not remain?
He doesn't have any? Well,
I said when does it not remain?
yeah, I can't hear.
Repeat the sentence.
Okay, so for the intermediate level, faith remains firm even if God exhibits all the things that humans do, but twice as much in any way. So he basically exhibits lust, anger, etc. to a double degree that of humans. So he exhibits somewhat non-ordinary behaviors. Does that make sense? And then finally, one with the highest level would never doubt any action of God, even if God were to behave coarsely like a person of a low caste, or exhibit anger, violence, etc., or indulge in drinking alcohol, meat eating, or adultery. Why? Because he understands God to be the all-doer, the supreme Lord, and the experiencer of everything. Such a person realizes that when our actions take place in the world are the result of God, who is anyway within all being as their controller. If then he were to indulge in some degrading deed, it would not affect him at all, since he himself is the all-doer. In this manner, one who has realized God as the Lord of all is known as a devotee of God with the highest level of cervical faith. Did that make sense now? Should I go on? Sure?
What did you got? Explain.
That there's three.
The mic is right there. Right there.
So you said there's three types of cervical, right? One with the highest, medium, and whatever the lowest.
The average.
So for the highest, God could have anger and stuff, just like a human being. And the other person would understand that he's God and he has a reason for it. And it's not going to affect him in any way because he's God. I didn't really get the other two because I was reading the wrong section. I'm sure it makes sense.
So it's just the lowest level. They say Kanish. They have the very least faith in God, and then the Madam, it's it's better than the third level, but it's still not there. And then you have the first level Uttam, and they have full faith in God no matter what He does. They're not going to lose faith in Him. That's
Right.
pretty much what I said.
Right, so 3 level is basically the entry level, right? Which is basically anything that he doesn't do like humans, basically shatters that faith right away. Intermediate is increases that threshold to a little bit more, where God may exhibit some of those swabhavs and still not shatter the faith. And then the highest being is that no matter what God does, it still doesn't shatter that faith. Right? In the short summary, that's what it means in the cervical. Everybody got that? Ruchit? Did I say anything incorrect, or you want to add something?
It's good, I guess. Aganu karin, પછી
Aganu karin? Okay. So now the subjective one, which is nirvikal. He observes both the good and the bad behavior of God in human form, but still he is convinced that God does everything. And yet he is non-doer because God has the form of Brahman. What is the nature of Brahman? Brahman, like space, pervades all, and all actions are done within him. He is convinced about such Brahmanhood of God. For example, in Ras Panchadhyayi, the 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad, dealing with the amorous spotting of Lord Krishna, King Parikshit asked Sukji, how was it that the incarnation of God, as protector of religion, associated himself with the wives of others? Sukji replied, Sri Krishna is as bright as fire. All his good and so-called bad behavior turns to ashes. That devotee is said to be known with quite ordinary subjective or nirvikalpa faith, who knows God as unattached and identified with Brahman. That devotee is called the devotee with considerable nirvikalpa faith. When he becomes free from 6 types of emotional thoughts about thirst, hunger, grief, infatuation, old age, and death, like the inhabitants of Sweet Dweep, and worships Vasudeva. That person is said to be a man of the best Nirvikalp faith, who identifies himself with the Akshar, which is the abode of God, Purushottam Narayan. In that Akshar, billions and billions of universes are enveloped in eightfold opaque layers. When a person worships God, Purushottam, in such a state, he is said to be man of the best subjective Nirvikalp faith. Did that make sense? Guys, did that make sense? Okay, I'm going to read that a little bit summarized version of it. As for the devotee with the lowest level of Nirvikalp faith, no matter what pious or impious deeds he witnesses being performed by God, he understands that in all action God performed, he is still a non-doer since he is a Brahman. That Brahman is like Akash, in that everything resides in Akash and all action takes place within it. The devotee realizes such qualities of Brahman is God. For example, during the narration of the Ras Panchadhyayi, King Parikshit asked Sukji, God assumes an avatar to uphold Dharma. Why then did he associate with gopis? Sukji replied, Sri Krishna is radiant like fire. Whatever action he performs, pious or impious, are burnt to ashes. In this manner, one who understands God as Brahman, unaffected by the action he performed, is said to have the lowest level of Nirvikalp faith. That one who becomes like a Nirna Muktas or sweet dweep, who are free from the six physical and emotional sensations, and worships Vasudeva is said to possess an immediate level of Nirvikalp faith. And finally, one possessing the highest level of Nirvikalp faith realizes that countless millions of Brahmans, each encircled by the 8 barriers of
પહેલા વાત થતો હતો એવું જ વિચારે તો પછી ક્યારે ક્લિક થયું
each encircled by the 8 barriers appears like mere atoms before Akshar. Such is the greatness of Akshar, the abode of Purushottam Narayan. One who worships Purushottam, realizing oneself to be Akshar-Sarup, can be said to possess the highest level of Nirvikalp faith. Yes, no, maybe?
So let's break it down. First of all, I think define what.
Take the microphone.
No. We should define what Savikalp is and what Nirvikalp is. First, give the definition of that in your own words. So all of us can understand. And then we can go into the 3 different categories of each.
Well, understand.
The first one was Savikalp.
So what is Savikalp?
Well, it's 2 types. One is objective belief and one is a subjective belief, right?
Just explaining it already.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
Hardik was just saying nothing. I was just telling Hardik that it's Nirvikalp and Savikalp, objective and subjective. And then there's 3 for each of them.
Right, so what's the difference between cervical and Nirvikalp?
I don't know, but what I noticed was, I don't know if this is right, but the Ganesh Nirvikalp Nishai, so the lowest for the Nirvikalp, it sounded similar to the best for the Savikalp, right? Because they both said it said that Bhagwan isn't affected by anything, so that's why Lord Krishna would associate with the gopis, but it didn't matter because he was like the fire. That's just like what the best for Savikalp thought.
lowest Savikalp.
Yeah. So that leads me to believe Nirvikalp is the better one.
That's it.
Because lowest Nirvikalp is the same as the best Savikalp.
So,
That's what I mean.
So,
So you're
where
saying
is,
that-
where is Nirvikalp and Savikalp start?
Yeah.
Then Nirvikalp end at the best level, then Savikalp
Cervical
start.
at the lowest level.
That's the bad one.
Your Uttam Savikalp means your worst Nirvikalp.
Oh, they're in reverse order.
Yeah, you idiot.
It's not in reverse order. It's just the best.
It's in the
Savikalp.
same spectrum. You start with one and go.
So,
like
so
this.
that's why you have
Let's
to
go to the
understand.
middle.
You
But
have
what
to
does that
understand what
mean?
Savikalp
Take the
and
microphone.
Nirvikalp is, right? I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can explain it. You know, explain the actual definition of savikalp, but in layman terms, savikalp, meaning you're seeing Bhagwan.
As a
Correct me
human.
if I'm wrong. Yeah, you're judging Bhagwan with humanly acts, right? And nirvikalp
With
is
those swabhavs, behaviors or
the human
swabhavs.
characteristics, right? And nirvikalp is you're seeing him above and beyond that, and through eternity. And then he talks about nirannamuk. Niranna means there is muk. Dweep is a dham where you get if you don't go to Akshardham, Bhagwan sometimes puts you there to do tap, and then from there, once you have enough tap accumulated, then he gets you to Akshardham. But those muktos that are there, they don't eat or drink anything.
That's for Sat Urmiya.
Shat Urmiya, right? Like we have.
Right, Agdumya.
Sure. Sure. I mean, sure.
So there's six different things.
Cow, Ungu, Agni.
I don't know the names of it.
I have it here somewhere.
So there's six different desires that every human needs to survive. The muktos that are there in Svetdvip, they're above that. That's the medium. If you stay above that and do Bhagwani Bhakti, that's you're just at medium savikalp. When we're doing bhakti, you're sitting like this, and you can sit here for 24 hours without going to the bathroom or without eating and things like that. Then you're at that level. That's nirvikalp medium. Sorry, yeah. And then the greatest is the way how Swami does it. You treat yourself as a mukta Akshardham, and that's how you do bhakti. You have no other surrounding and nothing. That's the greatest. So, and Ras Panchadya, he talks of nirvikalp. That's the greatest of all. Yeah.
There is nothing greater.
Nothing greater than that. This is the end. So savikalp, and at the end Bhagavan says, so the question I have for all you guys is, do you have to go through all these 6 stages to get to the 6th stage? Like if you want to go upstairs, you have to climb, each one of these stairs to get up there, right?
No, you could do double steps.
You're asking the question in the next section, actually.
No, that's why I wanted to get them turned and then see what Bhagavan says. So now, is that clear? The 6 steps that we have to traverse, or at least acknowledge in order to get good bhakti. So Bhagavan comes right here, and he's hanging around with some white chick outside.
That's the lowest nirvikalp.
No.
If you think something,
Huh? Right, if you question.
then it's lowest nirvikalp.
Sarvikal. So lowest
It's
sarvikal.
not, as you lower sarvika, you're not even at the other level yet.
Mm.
Because that, you and me are very capable of hanging around with white chick. Right? Same thing. So Bhagavan can do the same thing. But if he does above and beyond of what us humans, of everyday humans, what do we do? We interact and all of that stuff, right? Alcohol, women, and money, and we go crazy. If we lose money, there are a lot of people that go crazy. I have 2 floors in my hospital filled with crazy people because of this stuff. So if Bhagavan does all of this, this is still the lowest. And if you don't doubt him, that is. If you doubt him, then you're not even lowest. You don't even have a category.
You're
So
you're
just put
beyond
that in
this.
practice. Yeah. And then a step above is if he goes above and beyond all of this. So he keeps 100 wives. Or, he's just drunk all day long.
It's medium savikalp.
Huh?
But when is it medium savikalpa?
When you
question it.
when you question it, yeah.
If-
when
if-
you don't
when you
question it,
don't.
when he's doing super bad stuff, then it's medium.
When you don't, see, that's the thing.
No, that's good. They've got it down.
And then another step above, whatever he does.
When you don't.
Think of the worst thing you could possibly think of, multiply that by 100, and even then you have no question. Right? There are a lot of people today, and then, so now we're at the greatest of Savikal, but the worst of Nirvikal. And that's where Bhagavan gives an example of Ras Panchadhyaya. What is that?
It's a
The fifth chapter or something. I heard.
So what is it? There's no name, it's Ras Panchadhyaya.
What?
someone's done.
Ras Panchadhyaya.
Man, the fifth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh.
This kid really knows.
Alright.
He said it.
Why do we do Ras tomorrow? Just for fun?
Because it's Srimad Bhagavatam.
What did you send her just a few minutes ago?
Isn't that when God played Ras with everyone? Yeah, I know my history. It's when God played Ras with everyone.
No,
Yeah.
It was another history.
It was
he
in
played
Ras.
dress with devotees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I played it.
So Ras Panchadhyaya is the 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Fifth
Five
chapter.
chapters of it, first 5 chapters of it.
No. So
No, I think it's just
No,
the
it's
5th
the fifth chapter.
Fifth chapter.
Just the 5th chapter.
It can't be 5 chapters long.
Yep.
And in there, so Bhagwan took each Swarup and each Gopi.
Yeah.
Okay, so one
Yeah,
of this
I know.
book is wrong because it says the 5 chapters of the Srimad Bhagavad dealing with the Amara sporting of Lord
Yeah,
Krishna.
5 chapter. He's mean to say fifth.
No.
And
Just
maybe
bad
it's
English.
like-
It was bad.
Bad English.
Yeah, it was
It's a
bad
my-
translation.
Oh, this is Indian English.
Kanji.
Yes, translation.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Okay, that's why it's just description.
And that's why I said, so there are a lot of people that question it.
Okay,
People
so
that are
this was
atheists, right?
Yeah.
He's like, how can you guys consider him Bhagwan? But he's messing around with, and not only did he do
He
Ras,
played Ras.
he actually pleased them. He indulged in pleasure, in worldly pleasures.
He stayed with them and did everything with them.
And particular on these Vacharan days, there are so many guards today.
What do you mean? What is that?
My favorite thing is you idiot.
Oh, like
that's
how you
beans.
guys came out of that? Ah, I see.
That's
I understand.
the skateboard.
So they claim themselves to be gods. But even with that, see, when I even mentioned it, you giggle. That means that, not just you,
Immature.
I mean, I'm just pointing it out, because we don't have that clear mind. So imagine if God himself does that to us. So this tells us where we are in bhakti. We shouldn't stay there, we shouldn't meditate on this, and we should try to get away and above this to see how Bhagwan wants us to get around. And do we necessarily have to go through these 6 steps, or can we directly get to where we are? There is a shortcut? You know?
I don't know, but I'm sure there is.
Let's try to find out what it
He
is.
has a faith in that, huh? So, thereafter, Chaitanyanand Swami asked, Maharaj, how have such distinction in faith arisen? Okay.
30, plus 30.
Sriji Maharaj said, when an aspirant goes to the preceptor for the first time, the preceptor is one of the many types of preceptors who are classified according to the good or bad quality of the place, time, association, initiation, action, mantra, scripture, and other attributes such. And because of this, the faith becomes superficial and shaky. So, live in good place, etc., and one should listen to the speaker who is wise, calm, and faultless. When he is in such a state, one should gather enlightenment from him. Then again, Chaitanyanand Swami asked, if by chance one has cultivated quite ordinary nischay, can one cultivate the best nischay again? Sriji Maharaj said, if a person cultivates the best faith, and if the place, etc., becomes favorable, and if he meets the best enlightened preceptor, the Nishchay would become the best.
How do you guys it down?
What does Shraddha mean?
Did you get it?
What does Shraddha mean?
That's faith. And a mumuksh is a devotee.
What's moksha?
A devotee.
That's moksha.
A mumuksh is the same thing.
Moksha is different than moksha.
No, not moksh. Mumuksh. That's a devotee.
Mhm. So to put it in another way, Sriji Maharaj replied, when an aspirant initially approaches a guru, several factors cause distinction in his faith. The auspiciousness and inauspiciousness of place, time, company, initiation, action, mantra, and scripture. With regards to the guru, as well as the intensity of one's own shraddha. Therefore, one should always associate with favorable place, time, etc. Moreover, one should acquire wisdom from a speaker who is serene and faultless. Chaitanyanand Swami asked further, if under such circumstances one develops the lowest level of faith, can it later develop into the higher level of faith? Sriji Maharaj replied, if the listener possesses extreme shraddha and if he encounters favorable places, times, etc., and if he encounters a guru with the highest level of jnana, then the highest level of faith will develop. Otherwise, such faith would develop after many lives. Yes? Was that point sort of clear to everybody?
Yeah.
You see?
You want me to repeat the last paragraph for you?
No. Don't repeat it.
Sri Maharaj replied, if the listener possesses extreme shraddha, and if he encounters favorable places, times, etc., and if he encounters a guru with the highest level of jnana, then the highest level of faith will develop. Otherwise, such faith would develop after many lives. So it's basically, you could fast forward by understanding from who you are acquiring that jnana, or just to realize that you're going through that process will take you many lives before you realize that you have to get that jnana from someone that's serene and faultless. So it's like kind of telling you that in order for you to solve a problem, you have to know what the problem is. But if you don't know the problem, you'll be going round and round for many lives to figure out what the problem is before you can address that problem.
How we can understand what is the
That's not
problem?
what it's saying.
That's not what I was.
Huh?
It's saying you have to be in the right place, time. All those
You gotta go to the
situations have to
right
line
school,
up
you need the
properly
right professor.
in order for
You
you
need the good professor.
to go to that high state. And on top of that, you need to know, you need to listen to the words of someone who is those, the words you said.
Serene and faultless.
Faultless, exactly. So
With highest knowledge.
you need that person, and you need all those situations, the place, time, and everything to
Right.
be in place. And if they're not, it says that you're gonna keep trying and go through these lives, but until you get that, it's not, you can't go.
But then he says, in order to, understand that things, you need to understand what is the problem.
You
What
need
is
to
it?
understand what you're looking for.
What are you looking for?
If you don't know to look for a jnani, someone that has a jnana, someone serene, someone's faultless, if you don't know to look for all those things at the same time, how will you know to look for it?
You gotta have good luck.
But if you don't have any knowledge about savikal, nirvikal, or nishchay, or importance, mahatma, why would you look for someone?
What did you say?
I just thought you had to be lucky and get selected.
So it's luck factor, right? Flip a coin, either you're in it or you're out, right?
Or it could tie back in a couple of it's a very long time ago where you may find somebody and you may think that that person is doing it right, but you know,
at the end, if you end up
exactly, you know,
with the both.
yeah, later you realize that that's not, you know, this person isn't the right person, and then you keep looking, and you know, doesn't it go by trial and error a little bit too? I think we spoke about that before.
So how, let's say you find some guru, then how do you know? Is it right or wrong?
There's other.
Because then you'll see somebody else, and you'll realize like, oh, you know, like this guru, he's teaching me things. This other one is telling me to go get pizza or whatever it is, and you realize that what you have is not to the par of the other person, and then you realize that all right, this person is not here to teach me, and like it pretty much is trial and error. You move on to that.
It's not quite trial and error. I mean, I think one of the Vaishnavas would give you an answer to that question.
What is it?
Anybody else know? Wasn't scriptures themselves would tell you whether you found the real guru or not? Being in satsang and reading the scriptures would tell you whether.
But when you're with that guru, you're already in his satsang, and the whole point is that the scriptures tell you to listen to a guru, and when he's, you know, pretty much is like when they're telling you the wrong thing, you start to understand it.
But that's how you know then at that point whether you found the right.
But then technically there's also another Vachamut where it says like you don't want to be a smart person and constantly like look at the scriptures and keep.
Once you find the right person, you don't want to question it.
Right.
Until you found that person. But then the question.
But then the thing is like, what if you think you already found that right person? That's the whole point.
That's why it's
the question.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So like, you think you found the right guy?
When do you figure it out?
Yeah.
That's the main question. When do you can figure it out?
Well, that's what I mean. You gotta see other people, and then you realize like by comparing what you have.
So you're in a deadly circle.
That's why
Other
it's
people
lucky.
as in.
For example, you're in a classroom and your teacher, he teaches in one way where he pretty much just sits down and he says, all right, take the textbooks out and read them. And this is how you're gonna learn. You think that, all right, this is the way college works and this is how you're supposed to learn. You see somebody else's teacher and they're being very practical. They're saying this is what you have to do, they're guiding you. So now you see, all right, this person that I have obviously isn't doing the right thing. Pretty much he's not teaching me. So like that, like you compare and you see what you have compared to somebody else and you see how good or how bad they are. You see how they're performing compared to others. So if you have a guru and somebody else has a different one, when you look
compared to the group,
yeah,
group of
like
people?
similar. Yeah, like if I have my own guru and you have your own, and I know what my guru's been teaching me or how he acts and how he does this and that, and you're able to see how somebody else's is doing, you can kind of gauge where you are on that level, no?
The question is, if you yourself don't know what all of it, for example, if you don't know if your guru has never taught you about savikam, nirvikam, nishchay, right? You're never going to raise that question. The other guy may know that, but how are you going to know that he knows that? He's not going to come tell you. How are you going to judge the other person and his smartness or his status with your status? Where if you don't have the right guru, your status is going to be here. You don't even know. Like if you ask some of this stuff to anyone that's not part of satsang, they have no idea what savikam is.
And if you got caught a person like me, then you get jacked.
It'll go make you go in a circle and you'll forget what savikam is.
way, I think what you're trying to say is what Maharaj says in Gunatan Gamzego. When you want to make someone your guru, you look at his guru and you look at their disciples.
Exactly.
You see, if they're not other groups, you have no way of knowing this. And you compare them with what you've read, what you understood. And then there's two denominators at the end. So what is our goal? To get to where? Uttam Nirvikal, right? So that level of faith, Uttam Nirvikal faith.
Yeah.
That's the numerator. The denominator is what? How do you get there?
Right place, time, the right guru, all that.
So the right guru, and there's a second denominator.
Shastra?
No, you need the right
Oh,
place,
the
time,
faith.
and all that.
If you something.
Yeah. So yeah, right, Shraddha, faith. Your level of faith and the right guru, the combination of these two will lead you to the best Uttam Nirvikal Nishchay, faith. The guru could be the best guru in the world, like Swamiji is the best in the world. But if we lack faith, why is he, where he is, and why are we where we are? We both have the same guru, we all have the same shastra, we all have the same Bhagwan. Why is that the case? So where is the lack now? That second denominator is missing. Right? That's where the problem is. And so how do you fix that? Now that's the question.
How do you fix the faith?
How do you fix your own faith? That second denominator. We all have the right guru. Alright? So let's,
Now,
let's
what we spoke before, everything is gone. Now we talk about last two lines. We don't need all the first
Yeah, I get it.
things.
We don't care what the first step was, what the last step was.
No.
Because those steps, and anyway, he never finished in like 100 lines.
Right,
A million lines.
You're at the shortcut, but what is the faith?
We're at the solution.
Yeah.
We know what the problem is. You know you need to get from here to upstairs.
Yeah.
You've been shown different ways, but Bhagwan showed you the best way at the end.
Yeah.
So now you just have to figure out how to apply that. And of the two places, of the two things, we know we have the best guru. That is the common denominator. But the variable denominator
Is the faith.
is the faith of the individual, of the individual mumuksh. Right?
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you fix that? Where do you get that? How do you increase, decrease, speed, slow? What do you do with that? Right? What's up? Start with you. Now say something. Come on. You've been really good today, man. Come on. Do you understand?
Do you understand the question, right? No. Lucy, the whole.
So the question is, the problem is we want to have the best faith possible for Bhagwan, right? And the way to achieve that is with two things. To have a great saint, number one, and number two, you have to have that faith, that drive to become the best. Okay? Now, we all have the great saint, right? You agree? Every one of us here has that. Everyone that comes tomorrow also has it. But some of us are very far in satsang. They do bhajan, they want to do bhajan, and all they want to do, they prioritize bhajan. But some don't. Right? So why is that? Why, after having the same guru, the same saint who's so great, and we all want to achieve the same thing, but why are we lacking in that part?
Love.
And how do we speed that up? That's the question. How do you speed that devotion, that drive to do more satsang up?
Come to chase and arti at night. That would help.
Say,
Coming to chase and arti That would help, wouldn't it?
Okay.
Friday satsang, Saturday satsang, Shivirs and all that. That helps too.
Okay. Pawan.
And puja in the morning too.
Well, we're gonna be like you said, but we have the same guru, but not everyone calls or not everyone stays in touch enough. So, like,
You don't need to stay in touch with him.
You don't need to stay in touch.
Why would you have to stay in touch with him? I don't call him every day.
but I'm not talking about every day.
Yeah, but I'm sure 90% of his devotees probably don't even get a chance to be with him.
Let him finish.
Yeah, let him finish,
See
let
where
him
he's
finish.
going.
I don't think 90%.
Let him finish.
I think everyone should stay in touch, but I mean, by staying in touch, you know, you still, like, there's a connection with you and your guru. Like, he may have one, but we don't, that connection that he has personally. I mean, that might help, or affect it, you know? That, you know, it might convince him even more with that guru to do more than what we do, what we're doing. From the inside, I don't know.
So you
I don't know
want
if-
that physical bond.
Yeah, but with physically, you get more too, though, from the inside. Like even if you love someone, it's not just always physical. It's from the inside too.
So the answer to that is, you go to, how many hours,
Hold the mic.
We only have one.
how many hours do you sit in a class to study something?
Left.
No, that was on.
How many hours do you sit in a class to study something? Right? In order to study a subject, how many hours a day do they teach it to you? 50 minutes per class, right?
Hour 15.
And they expect you to, they're not constantly sitting right next to you to learn. They teach you what the most desirable things are, or what the most challenging things are. And then once you start learning it, you're expected for each hour of class in college that you take, you're expected to study 3 hours on your own. Right? That's the statistics. At least when I was in college, that's what we were told. And when you do that, they pretty much guarantee that you're going to do well in class. Those that do, or at least do remotely close to 3 hours, they actually do end up doing well. Those that don't, they don't. Going back to what Vatsal said, which was very important. Coming to Cheshta, coming to Aarti, going to Shivirs, Satsang, that's what this is. This is just that 1 hour of college. This is not the real deal. You see where I'm going at? When Swamiji's here, or when you go there, that meeting could be 10-minute long. But what he's told you is for, hours and hours if you know how to utilize it. And if you get there. That's what the question is. Why is it that if he sits with him for 10 minutes, he feels like he's sat with him for 100 hours? We sit him for 10 minutes, with him for 10 minutes, and we feel like we sat with him for 5 minutes. We're in negative. That's where the question is. Because there's something that's lacking in us. Does that clarify what you were saying? But that question still remains, so since you have the mic.
Like you said, we need satsang, right?
But you're doing satsang. Aren't you doing it? You're here every Friday, every Saturday.
So that's not a guru,
It's
The guru's there.
yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
We all have the same guru. We're in the same satsang hall. We have the same murti in front of us.
So how do you increase that drive? Why is one student in your class getting straight A's, but the other one is not? You guys both go to the same 50-minute class. You guys both have the same teacher. How?
She's doing 3 hours.
why should I work?
How are they more dedicated? What is it that they do different that you don't? Or that the person that's not getting straight A's is?
one person's mindset is different.
How is it different?
Okay,
What is the difference?
One person mindset is different. What kind of mindset?
German.
You and Hardik are here. He can hold the electrical screwdriver and put screw into a wood. Would you be able to do that? Why don't you do that?
No, I don't know. Continue.
Why?
I give you a hint, we were talking about it over there last week.
Priority.
Priorities.
So how, what?
Say
What
what?
do you, what is it that you're doing to be different? Speak for yourself, don't worry about anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, think about it, we'll come back. This is very important, that's all. Well,
Think about it.
think about it.
This is the base of everything. This is the base of everything. This is the beginning and this is the end.
Oh, you want me
No, but I got it.
to? You got the answer? Go ahead, say it.
Say what's up.
Go.
I was gonna say,
There is
doing,
nothing in
Look,
between.
I can't even talk.
I was gonna say, doing seva. Like, that's why, in the student example, right? The student A gets A's because they put in more work, they do more, seva for their schoolwork. It helps. It helps. Like when you do seva here, it helps you. As long as you do it, for you. Like not me for God, not for because you told me to. You know what I mean? So like when you have seva and that right mindset, that definitely helps you get more faith.
So, but then, on the topic of seva, if I'm doing seva and you're doing seva, why is it still your faith different than mine?
Because you might be thinking doing it like as a chore, but that's not the right mindset.
But it's seva, you say.
No, but his argument is right. You both are doing seva, but one person is thinking, "Lord, I'm trying to please God," and other person says, "I'm trying to show off, or I'm doing it for myself, my liberation." Even though you do seva for mukti, and other person just doing seva to just please God, it's a lot of different.
It may be different, but how do you know the difference when the person that you think is doing it just for show off may actually be doing it for the real purpose?
That's not
his,
relevant.
His bhakti might be
It's
actually
It's
being.
not relevant.
But that's not
Yeah,
for
that's
us to
not
know.
relevant.
We don't have to judge what the
That's
other
not
person
for us to
does.
judge.
We're not judging here people.
No, it's not judging.
He's
I'm
judging
saying,
what, this is not we are comparing apple and orange.
You would know if you're doing it for show. That's the only thing that matters, what you're doing, like you personally.
That's
No,
what
but
he
that's
meant, he meant to say,
I was saying more of it like if I'm doing seva and if you see that as not seva, how do you know that
But
I'm
no,
not?
he's not looking at you.
He's not worried
You're
about it.
looking at
He
yourself.
just said it
He's not
as
worried
an
about
example, but he wouldn't think about it. He wouldn't think about what you're doing.
He will think about himself. That's what he's talking
Are
about.
my intentions
So
correct?
it's, you're looking at self-realization at that point.
Just so.
Self-realization, yeah,
It's
whatever.
terrible. Now he's going on a different topic.
Yeah.
He's just worried about himself, if his intentions are correct, not about anybody else's. But he can, he
When
just
you raise
can't
a
look at
question about, two people are in the same field, doing same kind of seva, and एक ने વધારે છે અને એકને ઓછું કેમ છે, right? So his answer is, one is doing to please God, and another one is maybe, just maybe this is his thinking, and that would be answer. That would be exactly answer. Maybe he's doing for some other purpose,
Okay.
which is I don't know. Anybody, other people don't know.
That's fine, yeah, it could be
Yeah,
for
yeah.
other reason, yeah.
That's why they are not that same level. That's what he's trying to say.
Okay.
He's not comparing two people.
So that's one thing, right? What else?
That's what I came up with. That's my one thing.
Is that what you're gonna apply towards your life? I think that's what you would.
Well, we said that we all have the same concept, like we're all we have the same leader, we have the same God, we have everything, but the problem is that the faith always fluctuates, right? That's the problem. But you know, when you look at it, it's like the school example you gave. It's all about the care, how much the person cares. You know, the one student gets the good grades because they care. The other person, they might get good grades too, but not as good because it's not that as important to them to get that good grade. So it's the same thing here where, you know, we all are the students, but, you know, our classmates, there's someone that's better than us. In this Satsang, there's people better than us because they care and they keep wanting to get better. And they have, you can even make an argument that they have more love for God than we do. And then there's some that just come and, you know, they leave after 2 hours and that's it. And they don't do anything, and it's because they, you know, they don't care. You don't have that same love for God as another person does. I think it all comes down to those two things, you know, how much you care about what it is that you're doing and how much love you have for it. Because that's the main driving force behind it. You know, you can have the faith, but it's going to fluctuate based on that. And if you were talking about what you said over there, that's the same thing, priority. You'll have, if this is your priority, if Satsang is your priority, then you're going to care for it more than somebody else. And if it's not, then you're not going to care so much about it, where it's like, it's fine if, you know, I don't make it to one Saturday, or I don't clean up after, you know, after every Saturday, or whatever the case may be. And, you know, so I'm saying that it all comes down to how much you care and how much love you have for God.
But that's already established, unfortunately.
What do you mean?
The fact that you care, the fact that you love is what's bringing you here. Now, my question is, how do you increase that? How do you drive that up? What are you going to do differently that'll help you drive that up? We know you care, not you.
So, I think simple way to put it: the first day you come in, how do you want to have it? How do you want that belief to be different if you were there for a number of years? You will have difference in that faith. How do you want to have the most difference in that faith?
Well,
is the question.
If you want to get, you know, to a certain thing, you have to set that goal, and you have to say, all right, you know, this is what I want to do, and then at the end you'll reach it. But like, you know, you come here and all right, so I get what you mean. You know, we all have the care and we all have the love, but you come in here and we come in with no goal in mind, then it's not going to elevate us, or it's not going to bring us down. We're just going to stay there. If anything, it'll bring us down, but because you have no goal in mind. But if you set a goal, all right, I want to come and I want to get closer to God, then you're going to start to listen to the things around you more than somebody else. Does that make sense?
You do, but so now you know what the goal is, right? That's what we're trying to get at. So my question is, how are you going to do it? A student that's constant at B+, all throughout his 3 years of college, in the fourth year, he's like, I want to get those A's. He's been studying 10 hours a day to get that B+. Now, in order to get that A+ the next semester, he knows he's got to get that A+. He knows he's got to study more. He's got to put in more hours. The question is, how does he do it?
He goes and gets, because obviously what you're doing isn't working. You go and get help from somebody else. You know, and in this case, you don't got to go to get help from your guru, because he's already told you what you have to do. And you know, at that point with the B+ and the A, you know, you go into your teacher, he's gonna tell you the same thing anyway, but you don't get it. That's the whole point, which is why you have that B. You want to go to the people around you that you know are succeeding. So me going to somebody in this Satsang, you know, a student, and learning from them, because we're on the same level. We're trying to get to that A. And so I think that's what.
So you're looking for a speaker who is wise, calm, and faultless.
We already have
That's the guru.
We already have that.
No, I know, but he's trying to achieve that. He himself is shaky on those three grounds. So
we not worry about that thing.
That down is already set. That
We're
is,
done with
you know,
that.
let's say in our case, that's Swami.
That's
No
it.
one, that is, એટલે મેં કીધું, એ common denominator. He is constant, no matter where you are, there's, you know. But it's the person
Right.
themselves, ourselves, we ourselves are lacking, whatever that is. And so now, he's coming to a point now, he's saying, so I should go to someone who's, you know, not lacking as much to get to their level. So if he's at B plus and he sees someone at A plus, he should go do samagam with them. That's one way of doing it, right? Another way, he said, is seva. But is there more you think, or?
Yeah, of course there's more. There's that, there's, you know, you reading
The scripture.
the Shiksha, like following the guidelines that are given. You know, you don't need a guru for that. You just read what it's telling you. It's a guideline. So pretty much following that, doing the seva, doing, you know, the satsang, and all this is gonna increase your love for God, and at the end of the day, elevate you to hopefully where you want to be. So what's the right answer?
I was gonna say what you said, you evaluate yourself and then find the person, like, you guys getting it, and then it goes, so you guys say something different. I know, but I was gonna say that too, but then you go to look back.
Yeah.
Because they're so far away, we didn't even know you were here.
So what's the real answer? What's the real answer?
What's the right answer?
Go.
So, your answer I agree with a lot. But I think what lacks most to improve the what we call shutdown is the mahima, the importance of Bhagwan, of Santos, of Haribhaktos, of Satsang. And if we have that code, and we make that the most important thing in our life, then anything that you do, everything that you do will revolve around this. Your education, you're studying not because you want to be an engineer. You're studying because you want to be you want to make a career, and hopefully one day with that career, with whatever salary you earn, you will be able to do good for satsang. I'm not saying I do this, but these are the goals that you set. We sing kirtan not because to sound good or to whatever, but at least if I know how to sing, Bhagwan will be pleased, Bhaktas will be pleased. If I'm doing anything and basically any action that you do should be oriented to satsang. And I feel the best way to do that is to know the importance of what you're doing. And that's how you get to it. I thought being a doctor was the most important thing. It's the most sacred profession. I've sacrificed the past 12 years of my life. Food, sleep, all of that I've sacrificed to get to where I am today. Because I thought that was the most important thing. And, that's why I was able to accomplish it. If I did it, then I would not have been. But I think that importance is lacking, personally.
જો શ્રોતાને ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા ઉપજે, આ એક જ વર્ડ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ છે. શું કહેવાય? જો શ્રોતાને ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા ઉપજે, રીડ ઇન ઇંગ્લિશ. Last to third line.
If the listener possesses extreme shraddha, and if he encounters favorable place, time, etc., and if he encounters a guru with the highest level of jnana, then the highest level of faith will be developed.
Okay. જો શ્રોતાને ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા ઉપજે, okay, that is most important. કેમ કે પાછળના જે છે તથા રૂડા દેશાલી પ્રાપ્તિકાર, which is we have it. ઉત્કૃષ્ટ જ્ઞાનવાળો વક્તા મળે, which is like already have it. તો સર્વોત્કૃષ્ટ નિશ્ચય થાય અને ના હોય તો જન્માંતરે after so many births you get it, right? So what is important here? જો શ્રોતાને ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા ઉપજે, બરોબર?
No, faith.
Strong
You're talking about faith.
ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા, what it says in English? છેલ્લે ત્રીજી લાઈન.
If a person cultivates the best faith, and if the that's the only thing I'm
Yeah,
saying.
Cultivate
Yeah,
best
that's
best
the
faith, right?
If the right, so if
That's
a person
fine.
cultivates the best faith, and if the place, etc., becomes favorable, and if he meets the best enlightened preceptor, to be
ઉત્કૃષ્ટ
favorable.
શ્રદ્ધા, best faith, right? If that person cultivate best faith, એવું કહેતું ને?
Yeah.
A person cultivates the best faith.
Best faith. કેવી રીતે એને કરાય? રુચિ તે પેલા કેવું કે મંદિર આવું આરતી કરવી, પેલા દેવાએ કે સેવા કરવી અને just to please the God. બરોબર, Vatsal was right, Dev is right, you also right. And then this guy, Ruchit also is right. He says, I gave up my 12 years of life. No sleep, no food, nothing. I didn't enjoy anything. I just studied because I knew it's how much, once I become a doctor, it's how much it's going to be important for my future. Right? So, એના આધારે એમ કે છે કે if I give up my soul, my body, my thinking, my swabhav, everything I give up for satsang, then I'll gain something. But I'm also not agree with that. That's a slow, શું કહેવાય?
Slippery slope.
Slippery.
No, it's a slow movement.
Slow movement.
I think it's a slow.
That I count as a janmantra. What you guys says, I call it janmantra.
It's slow.
આ બધું તો જન્માંત કરેલી જાય. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? What it take? ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા. ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા કોને કહેવાય? I will give you a simple example, so you guys can understand easily. I gave the same, for probably this kind of another Vachanamrita, I use the same example, and once I start, you're going to realize. કે પહેલા એક મહાભારતનું રામાયણનું ઉદાહરણ આપી દઉં કે કે ભગવાનના ભક્તના માટે એક પક્ષે કરી, રાઈટ? આ શ્રદ્ધા જેવો એક શું છે? પક્ષ છે. પક્ષ રાખો એ પક્ષે કરીને કશું ના કરવું પડે, સીધો ભગવાનના ધામને પામે. જે નિર્વિકલ્પ સમાધિની જે છેલ્લી સ્થિતિ કહી ને કે ભગવાનના ધામમાં ભગવાનના મુક્ત ભેગો ભગવાનના મુક્ત જેવો થઈ અને ભગવાનનું ભજન કરે, એ ઉત્તમ સ્થિતિ કહી, રાઈટ? અને એ સ્થિતિ મર્યા પછી નહીં, આ દેહે કરીને પણ આવી શકે. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? એ સ્થિતિ કોનામાંથી? હનુમાનજી હતી ને, સબરીમાં હતી, મીરાબાઈમાં હતી, રાધાજીમાં હતી, ગોપીઓમાં હતી, આ બધાનામાંથી. એ બધા આ દેહે કરીને શું સુખ ભોગવતા હતા? ભગવાનના વૈકુંઠને ગોલોકધામનું સુખ ભોગવતા હતા. રાધાજીને આપણે બધી વિરહની કીર્તનો બધી કથાઓ સાંભળીએ, પણ એમને કોઈ વિરહ હતો જ નહીં, સદંતર જોડે જ હતા. બરોબર છે? હવે એ તો બહુ એમ સમજો કે એ બધા ભગવાનના મુક્તો હતા. આપણા લેવલની શું વાત કરવાની? આપણે કોઈ એમ કે તો કાઉન્ટર આર્ગ્યુમેન્ટમાં શું કે કોઈ એમ કે ભાઈ એ તો બધા ભગવાનના ગોપીઓને, રાધાજીની ને સીતાજીની ને લક્ષ્મણજીને, હનુમાનજીની ને સબરીની ને મીરાબાઈની ને બધી વાતો યાર ક્યાં કરો છો? મુક્તાનંદ સ્વામી, ગોપાલ સ્વામી, બ્રહ્માનંદ સ્વામી, દાદા કાચન, જીવબા, લાડુબા, ડોન્ટ કમ્પેર અસ. અને વાતે સાચી છે આમ તો, કોઈ આર્ગ્યુમેન્ટ કરે તો. પણ એક વસ્તુ તો નક્કી થઈ ગયું ને કે એ લોકોના આ હતું, ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા હતી એટલે એ લેવલે પહોંચી ગયા. બરોબર છે? અથવા તો એવાનો સંગ થયો એને કરીને એ લેવલે પહોંચી ગયા. બરોબર છે? તો આપણે આ લેવલે આવી ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા ઉપજાવવા માટે આપણા શું કરવું પડે, અથવા તો મારામાં કે તમારામાં ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા છે એ ક્યારે સાબિત થાય, ક્યારે કહેવાય કે આપણે પોતે ક્યારે બિલીવ કરી શકીએ કે ના મારામાં આ વસ્તુ છે? કે ભગવાન કે મોટા સત્પુરુષ આપણને કોઈ આજ્ઞા કરે. મહારાજ શું કીધું કે અત્યારે અમે કહીએ કે આ સભા છોડી અને બુરાજપુરા કોણ જાય? તો મુક્તાનંદ સ્વામીએ કીધું મહારાજ આપ આજ્ઞા કરો તો હું ઊભો થઈને જાઉં, કોઈને જવું ગમે નહીં. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? તો એમાં શું થયું કે શ્રદ્ધા શું હતી? શ્રદ્ધા શું રાખી? નોર્મલી આપણી શ્રદ્ધા શેમાં હોય? ભગવાનની નજીક રહીએ, સ્વામીની નજીક રહીએ, સેવા કરીએ. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? પણ અહીંયા આગળ શ્રદ્ધાની વ્યાખ્યા શું છે? ભગવાન અને મોટા પુરુષ વર્ડે નહીં, જેમ રાજી થાય એમ મારે કરવું. મારા માટે નહીં. નાવ આઈ એમ કમિંગ ટુ ધ આપણા લેવલનું એક્ઝામ્પલ, બેસ્ટ એક્ઝામ્પલ હતી. Got it? ખબર પડી? Atit is an American born kid, right? He studied here. એની મમ્મીને હાથનો ભાતી નતો ખાતો, ગાળીને નતો ખાતો, જાતે પીઝા બનાવીને ખાઈ લેતો હતો. કારણ એટલે અત્યારે એટલે સારા બનાવે છે. આટલા વર્ષોનો એનો એક્સપિરિયન્સ છે. દક્ષા કેમ teach him anything, right? And when he went there, I was eyewitness, right? અને દક્ષા એની કમ્પેરમાં આમ તમે અહીંની કમ્પેરના છોકરાઓને જાણશે ને તો જનરલી એમ લાગે કે કશું નથી. પણ એણે શું કીધું અતિથે કે સ્વામી તમે સિલેક્ટ કરી છે ને એટલે બરાબર જ હોય. સ્વામી શું કીધું? આઈ ડોન્ટ વોન્ટ ઇવન સી હર. કે ના જવું પડે, તારે મળવું પડે. મળીને આવ્યા ને ત્યારે મેં કહ્યું તને ના ગમતી હોય તો ના પાડજે આપણે. હા, સ્વામી કે બીજી બતાવે કે ના આપણાથી સ્વામીને એવું ના કહેવાય. What do you call that? That's called ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા. અલ્ટિમેટ ફેથ. નહીતર નોર્મલી વિચાર શું કરે? ઓ આઈ વોઝ બોર્ન હિયર, હું વોલ સ્ટ્રીટમાં જોબ કરું છું, આઈ એમ મેકિંગ ધીસ મચ મની, સો આઈ નીડ એટલીસ્ટ આટલી ગ્રેજ્યુએટ, કોર્નેલી નહીં હોય તો એનવાયુની તો જોઈશે જ. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? બીજું કે આવી જગ્યાએ જોબ નહીં કરતી હોય, 150,000 નહીં બનાવતી હોય તો 75,000 કે 100,000 વાળી તો જોઈશે જ. ઓકે, હું આટલો ઉજરો છું, દેખાવડો છું, તો આટલી તો દેખાવડી જોઈશે જ, આટલી હાઈટ વાળી તો જોઈશે જ. અને ઓન ટોપ આઈ નીડ સત્સંગી ઓલ્સો. What do you call? They both have same guru, same satsang, same mantra, same diksha, same scriptures, same satsang, same haribhakto. That kid come every Friday, other kid also come every Friday, that kid come also Saturday, all Saturday, he attend all CB, he does seva, he cleans vasan, he does kachra potu, he does all this decoration, he donate money, that guy donate money. તો ભગવાને શું કીધું કે જેને આવી શ્રદ્ધા હોય, મહારાજે વચનાત્મા સુંદર શબ્દ, સ્વામી ઓલવેઝ યુઝ ધેટ વર્ડ, ધેટ લાઈન, કે જેને ભગવાનને વિશે વિશ્વાસ અને શ્રદ્ધા હોય તો ભગવાન રામચંદ્રજીએ શું કીધું કે જેમ માં છે એ બાળકની રક્ષા કરે છે એમ હું એની રક્ષા કરું છું. મધર હોય, રાઈટ, 2 મહિનાનું, 4 મહિનાનું, 6 મંથનું, 1 year old બેબી હોય, એને ઇન્ડિયામાં બાઇક પર બેસે પાછળ તો કેવી રીતે બેસાડે, રાઈટ? અહીંયા આગળ લોકો ઘણા કેરી કરીને જતા હોય બરાબર બેબી, તો કેવું બધું વીટાડેલું હોય, અહીંયા આગળ બાંધેલું હોય. ઇવન તો પપ્પી કૂતરા હોય રાઈટ, એમ કેવી રીતે રાખે? કેમ કે એને ખબર છે કે ધીસ kid or this baby or this કૂતરું ગલુડિયું બિલાડું, it belongs to me, આ મારું છે. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? પેલા બિલાડાને તો ખબર નથી. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? in that case એને ચૂઝ કર્યું છે, અને અહીંયા આગળ આપણે એ વસ્તુ બનવાની છે. એને ચૂઝ કેમ કર્યું કે ઓ સારું આ નાનું બચ્ચું છે કૂતરાનું રાઈટ, પણ નાની ડોગી છે તો એની આંખો બહુ ફાઇન છે, એનો કલર બહુ ફાઇન છે રાઈટ, એના પગ સારા છે, એની પૂંછડી સારી છે, હે બધું ગમે તે એને ગમે તે ગમી જાય રાઈટ, એટલે એને પિક કરી. નહીં તો તમે પેલા એનિમલ સ્ટોરમાં જાઓ તો 100 કૂતરા હોય, એકને કેમ પસંદ કર્યું? એનામાં કઈ એવું હતું જે એને ગમતું હતું. બાજુ બીજું કૂતરું બીજો માણસ આવે તો એને બીજાને લઈ જવાનું છે, એવું નથી કે એ લઈ જવાનું છે, બીજું લઈ જવાનું, પણ એની પસંદ જુદી હતી. પણ એ પેલો શું કહેવાય વર્ષે 25,000 કમાતો હોય, લાખ કમાતો હોય, અને ટ્રમ્પ આવે અને પેલો બિલ ગેટ્સ આવે, ખરીદવાનો ભેર તો ખરો ને, એક જ દુકાનમાં એક જ શોપમાં જાય. So these is the shop, this universe is the shop, we are all animals. આપણે બધા પપ્પી ડોગી છીએ બરોબર, પણ ભગવાનને મોટા પુરુષે આપણને ચૂઝ કરી લે, એવું આપણામાં એવું કંઈક સારું છે જેને કરીને આપણને પસંદ કરી લે. અને એવા પસંદ કરી લે ને કે પછી એક ગલુડિયું રાખે, બચ્ચું રાખે તો કેવું કરે, કે કૂતરો રાખે તો કેવા કરે, બેડમાં જોડે ઉવાળે, એને વાલીઓ કરે, નવડાવે ધોવડાવે બધું કરે, એના માટે સ્પેશિયલ ફૂડ લાવે, ડૉક્ટર જોડે લઈ જાય, ઇન્જેક્શન અપાવે, એને વિન્ટરમાં લાવે તો બહાર ઉડાડી લઈ આવે, કેટલી બધી કેર કરે, સ્નીકર્સ પહેરાવે, કેટલું બધું કરે. હે વિચાર કરો કેમ? તો એને ગમી ગયું. આપણે ભગવાનને ગમવા માટે શું કરવું જોઈએ? ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? એ તો એક એક્ઝામ્પલ આપ્યું. સિદ્ધાંત શું છે કે આપણે આપણું કે ભગવાન કે આપણી આંખો કે આપણો કલર નહીં જોવાના, ભગવાન શું જોવે આપણામાં? આપણામાં એવો એક કયો ગુણ છે, અને આપણે ત્યાં આગળ બધી વાત કરીએ બધું કરી શકીએ, પણ એક વસ્તુ આવી જાય ને કે ભગવાન કે મોટા પુરુષ આપણને એમ કે, સ્વામી શું કે, મારા ગુરુ મને એમ કહેતા તું અહીંયા બેસી જા, તો એને શું સમજતો? કામ સમજતો. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? મને એમ કે તું અહીં બેસી જા, તો ત્યાં બેસી રહીએ, ધેટ મીન્સ કે સ્વામીજી ગેવ મી અ વર્ક. ઓકે, આપણને એમ કે તું પવન ઢોલકી વગાડ, કે તું આ પેલું લીડર બેન્ડ મૂકી દે, આ શણગાર કરી દે, એ કામ ના કહેવાય. આપણને એમ કીધું કે તું અહીં બેસી જા, ધેટ્સ કોલ્ડ કામ. આપણને કીધું કે કાલે આજે ભલે 11 વાગ્યા ફ્રાઈડે સત્સંગ છે, પણ કાલે વી નીડ યુ ગાઈસ હિયર, સો કમ 9 o'clock. If we gave up our sleep, what do you call? That's called ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા. કે મને બોલાવ્યો છે, I have to be there, no matter what. That's called ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? Second example, કેસી, right? No matter what. મને તો હમણાં ખબર પડી કે she gave ઘનશ્યામ shower every morning. I didn't know until last month. No matter what time she has to start her college, school, right? She take care of him first thing in the morning. No matter how late she goes, she makes sure he sleeps well, and then she go to bed. So what does that call? That's called ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા. Hello? 8:30 થાય એટલે આપણને અંદર કેવું થવું જોઈએ કે ઓ મેન લેટ્સ ગો સ્ટાર્ટ નિયમ. This is called ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા. That's how we create force. જે રુચિતે કહ્યું ને કે how we can climb up very fast or supersonic fast. That's how. Small things count. ખ્યાલ આવ્યો? કે તમે બહુ કામ કરો, it doesn't count. When, how, that is most important. સમજ્યા? That is most important. તો આપણું કામ થઈ જાય. That's called ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા. આપણને કેમ તરત જ ઇન્સ્ટન્ટલી રેડી. ક્યારે આપણને એને આજે that's what I cannot speak out for myself, but that's how Swamiji is happy. If he says, if he called me to this, that's it, it's done. If he calls me, oh, you gotta come tomorrow, I don't care what is going to happen here. What is called? That's called Utkrishta Shraddha. If you look at me, I have like 100 faults. Maybe you can find 101. But what is one thing can give me that, Nirvikap Nishchay, Uttam Nirvikap Nishchay, that you can gain like this. And age कैसे नहीं है કે ઉત્કૃષ્ટ જો શ્રોતાને ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રોતાને કીધું છે હા you gotta listen that word શ્રોતા it didn't say a ભક્ત a devotee, it says શ્રોતા, that means a listener, good listener. Do you understand? Good listener, what he or she would do, they just listen and follow the orders. They don't argue, they don't ignore, or they don't look shortcut. They use the specific word and follow. That's what Utkrishta Srota, with the Utkrishta Shraddha. Right? જો શ્રોતાને ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધા ઉપજે તથા રૂડા દેશકાળે પ્રાપ્ત થાય તથા ઉત્કૃષ્ટ જ્ઞાનવાળો વક્તા મળે તો સર્વોત્કૃષ્ટ નિશ્ચય થાય. સર્વોત્કૃષ્ટ નિશ્ચય કયો કે ઉત્તમ નિર્વિકલ્પ નિશ્ચય. અને આને મેળવવા માટે તો આગળ કેટલા બધા સ્ટેપ્સ કયા એમાંથી પસાર થવું પડે. 3 and 2 5 સ્ટેપ્સમાંથી પસાર થાવ તો 3 ને 4 ને કમ્બાઈન કરી દો તો 4 સ્ટેપ્સ તમારે પાસ કરવા પડે. Then you enter into these steps. If you want to eliminate all 4 steps, you can climb up straight into the 6th one. How? This way. Any doubt, any question? Exactly what Swamiji says. મારા ગુરુ મને એમ કહેતા તું અહીંયા બેસી જા, you sit down here, that's my job. And I follow blindly. Just listen and follow. Listen and follow. That's it. Listen and follow. That's it. આટલું કરીએ. It's same thing apply in the house, right? Same thing apply in the house, right? આ દેવને હાર્દિક હોય 2 જણા, રાઈટ? એક જણો ધારો દેવ છે ધમાલ જ કર્યા કરતો હોય, સાંભળે જ નહીં. જાનકી પવન છે, રાઈટ? જાનકી કશું સાંભળતી ના હોય મમ્મી પપ્પાનું કે ના આમ not going to listen to you, પવન કહે કે ઓકે એન્ડ ડેડી કે તું આ કર, પેલું ટૂલ બોક્સ લઈ આ કર, પેલું કર, સ્કૂલે જા, સ્ટડી કરવા બેસ. Then automatically એના અંદરમાં એમ થાય કે he is a good behaving good kid. So automatically એના blessings કે એનો રાજીપો એની ઉપર જાય કે ના જાય? સિમ્પલ છે. થાય ને ફિલિંગ્સ થાય ને કે ભાઈ ઓ મારો આ 2 કિટ છે, એમાં એક આઉટ આવ્યું છે ને એક મારું બહુ નહીં સાંભળતું. ઇટ ડઝન્ટ મીન કે ભાઈ એની સેકન્ડ કિટને એ ઇગ્નોર કરશે કે એવું કરશે, એને દુઃખ આપશે. પણ મારું કહેવાનો મતલબ શું, રાજીપો, અંતરનો રાજીપો કોની પર વધારે હોય? તું બતાડું નહીં, રાઈટ? તું $10 પવનને આપું, જાનકીને આપું, પણ અંદરથી ફેર હોય એની ટેવ આવે છે. જાનકીને આપું તારે એમ થાય કે આઈ હેવ ટુ, you know,
Don't worry, Paul, you'll get there.
it does make difference. Yeah. This is the base. That's why એટલે મેં કીધું in the beginning, this is the base, this is the beginning and this is the end of satsang, of our journey of our life. This is the beginning and this is the end. And there is no other step in between. You don't have to do anything. Trust me. When I say you don't have to do anything means, I'm not cutting all the stuffs, the following rules and regulations, niyams. It will happen automatically, without any effort. You don't have to do your meditation. It will happen. Right? ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધાવાળાનું બીજું શું કીધું મહારાજે? ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધાવાળાનું તો ઊંચો થયો ને એટલે મને યાદ આવ્યું, ભગવાને શું કીધું કે 3 દિવસ ને 3 રાત સુધી ચાલ્યો હોય, થાકી ગયો હોય, રાઈટ? 3 days he walked, 3 days and night, he couldn't get sleep or eat, right? And એવા ટાઈમમાં કોઈ આવીને એમ કે ચલો આપણે ભગવાનની વાતો કરીએ, ભગવાનના કીર્તન જઈએ, તો કહે છે કે જાણે મને 3 દિવસથી થાક લાગ્યો ને, કંઈ થાક છે નહીં, અને એવો સ્વસ્થ થઈને ભગવાનની વાત સાંભળવા તત્પર તૈયાર થાય, એને શું કહેવાય? ઉત્કૃષ્ટ શ્રદ્ધાવાળો.
Let's cancel Satsang.
श्रीपते श्रीधरं सर्वदेवेश्वरं भक्तिधरमात्मजं वासुदेवं हरे माधवं केशवं कामदं स्वामिनारायणं नीलं गणपतिं અને બીજી બધી વસ્તુ છે, સેવા છે, ભક્તિ છે, દરેક વસ્તુ કે તમારે ગ્રેજ્યુઅલી આવે. યુ કેન ઇન્ક્રીઝ. આમાં there is no start and end. You just boom.
Nike, just do it.
Let's do it. And I think.
જીવન જવારી રે ગૌકર ચરણ કરો ત્યારી રે જીવન જવારી રે બેસો મેરવાજ ડાળી કટોરા કંચનની થાળી જડે ભર્યા જંબુ ચોખાડી દે પીવન વારી કરી કાઠ ગૌની બોડી મેલી દૂધ સાકરમાં બોડી કાઢ્યો રસ કેરીનો ગોળી રે જમવારી રે ગળ્યા સાટકે બરફુલવારી રે દૂધા પાકમાં લખવારી પૂરી પોચી થઈ છે કી માછડી જમોને જીવન જમવારી રે અથાણા શાક સુતરવાજી રે લાવીશું તરત કરી દહીં ભાત સાકર છે નાજી રે જીવન જમવારી રે જીવન જમવારી ચડું કર લાવો ચડ જારી એલાયજી લવિંગ સોપારી પાન મીઠી બનાવી સારી રે જીવન જમવારી રે વાસ મન ગમતા લઈ પ્રસાદી થાળ તણી દઈ ગુમાનંદ કહે રાજી થઈને જીવન જમવારી રે જીવન જમવારી રે
Try this.
Do it
Yeah, that's why it's hard.
right now.
Fast.
વિશ્વના વિધાતા દાતા તમે સકળ મંગલ શાંતિ દાતા માટે તમારું કરુણાનિધિ સત્ય નામ સાષ્ટાંગનાથ તમને કરું પ્રણામ અજ્ઞાન પાસ કરુણા કરી કાપી નાખો નિશે પ્રભુ તમ પદે મમ વૃત્તિ રાખો ભક્તોનું પાલન કરો પ્રભુ સાષ્ટાંગનાથ તમને કરું પ્રણામ. ભોળે પ્રભુ સકળ મુનિ કે શ્યામ સ્વામી નારાયણ દિવ્ય મૂર્તિ સ્વામી નારાયણ દિવ્ય મૂર્તિ સંતન કે વિશ્રામ હરે પ્રભુ સંતન કે વિશ્રામ ભોળે પ્રભુ સકળ મુનિ के श्याम अक्षर पर आनंद गण प्रभु कियो है पर नाम जेहि मिलत जन तरत माया जेहि मिलत जन तरत माया लहत अक्षर मारे प्रभु लहत अक्षर प्रभु सकल केशाम शारद शेष महेश महामुनि जपत जय गुण नाम जास पद रज शीश धरि धरि जास पद रज शीश धरि धरि होवत जननी हरे प्रभु होवत जननी निष्काम प्रभु सकल केशाम प्रेम के परयंक पर प्रभु करत सुखयाराम मुक्तानंद निज चरण निग गुण मुक्तानंद निज चरण निग गुण गावत याठो जाम हरि गुण गावत याठो जाम प्रभु कड़मुनि के श्याम स्वामी नारायण दिव्य मूर्ति स्वामी नारायण दिव्य मूर्ति सकल के विश्राम हरे प्रभु सकल के विश्राम हरे प्रभु सकल के सजानंद स्वामी महाराज ने श्री हरि कृष्ण महाराज ने श्री घनश्याम महाराज ने श्री स्वामीनारायण भगवान ने श्री नर नारायण देव ने श्री लक्ष्मी नारायण देव श्री राधा कृष्ण देव ने सियावर श्री रामचंद्र भगवान
Yeah, that's garbage. Go back, wait, go back, don't blow that up. Those are
Why?
You turned it on. What happened?